Hey everyone, I hope you're doing well. I recently posted a video of my basement arcade setup, and one of the questions I got from a viewer was, can you tell me a little bit more about the cabs and the games that are on your cabs? So I thought I would give a nice detailed review of my favorite cab, which is the Marvel vs. Capcom 2 cab. This is the first one that I bought from Arcade1Up, and it's been a great ownership experience. There's some things that I love and some things that I don't love so much, and I'll kind of walk you through ownership beginning to end, and I'll give you a full, concise video of, startup, all the way to all the different games, and I'll walk you through the different games as well in the online experience. So without any further ado, let's turn the cab on. And you'll notice it takes a second or two to load up. I noticed that the startup animation is actually quite loud. Um,
Let's rock!
yeah, I actually haven't figured out a way how to turn that volume off on the startup animation. I'm just going to turn the volume down a little bit. So very quickly, the volume on this cab is exceptionally loud. I find that at the volume 1 setting, it's the equivalent of like a volume 3 or 4 on any of the other Arcade1Up cabs that I've played. So it is pretty loud. If you've got somebody sleeping in the room next to you, or if you've got this in a setup where somebody might be around you, it definitely will be a lot louder than you would expect. You might wake some people up. That being said, I'm going to keep the volume off for now as I'm going through the review so you can hear me. Otherwise, it actually is loud enough to kind of drown out my voice as well. But that being said, I think the menu is actually quite nice. It's quite beautiful. They've got the leaderboard section. I can see that I'm connected to the internet here as well. I haven't registered my character, but I've got a little Iceman icon here. The screen size is actually quite nice. One of the biggest issues that that I had before I bought an Arcade1Up cab is I thought they were going to be kind of small, a little dinky, very hard to play with 2 players. And that's not necessarily true. It is actually quite a bit bigger than what I was expecting. The riser adds a lot of value, and it is fairly comfortable to play with 2 people as long as you've got enough horizontal space between the 2 of you. The one thing I will very quickly call out though is I feel like the joysticks are a little bit smaller than your traditional arcade cabinet. I haven't done a lot of research, but just based on memory from spending a lot of time in my local arcade, I feel like the joysticks are a little bit smaller, but the buttons seem to be the right size. There's been a lot of feedback that people have had specifically about the buttons and how the buttons don't feel premium. I don't think that's necessarily true. I think the buttons actually feel quite good. So unless you're a hardcore arcade connoisseur, I think the buttons are not too bad of an experience. Let's jump right into some of the games though. So Marvel vs. Capcom 2 is the flagship game here. They've got the lit marquee specifically around that game. Let's just play it. So as you can see, when you click enter on the game, you're going to be selecting between local or online game. I'll show you what the online game options are like very quickly. So it'll allow you to pick a game hall. So I'm going to pick USA East. I'm based out of the East Coast of North America. And you're going to see that there's really not that many options. So I've played only 6 times. I've won twice, lost 4 times. But there's only 2 people playing right now. So I find that a little bit disappointing that in all of USA East, the server that I'm logged into, there's only 2 people playing. And if I wanted to play, there wouldn't be anyone to play against me. As well, they're fairly advanced players, level 11, level 15. And it would just be quite a bit of a challenge. I really was expecting a lot more from Arcade1Up and the audience, that there'd be a lot more people playing, but my online experience on Arcade1Ups has just not been the best so far. I think there's a bit of a, there's a long way for them to go. That being said, I really bought these cabs for the local experience, and that's the piece that I'll walk you through. One thing I will very quickly call out though is in online games, doing air combos is exceptionally challenging. There's just too much lag. So we're going to start up the game, and you're going to notice super quickly that the game actually loads up nice and smooth. Obviously, there is a coin slot that they've created. It is a faux fake coin slot. That being said, you just press the 1-player icon, and now 1 player can play. If a second player wanted to play, they would just press the 2-player icon and they could play as well. I'm going to quickly pick 3 characters. I'm going to go with, let's say, Iron Man. I'm going to go with Juggernaut. And let's round this off with Akuma, so projectile type. The game feels really, really arcade accurate, and I would imagine so. I actually have Marvel vs. Capcom 2 on Dreamcast, and that is apparently the most arcade accurate version that you can get. There is almost no difference between this version and that version, with the exception that you don't have the option to unlock characters here. They already come unlocked by default, but the game is actually quite smooth. I'll turn the volume up for a second while I play. So as you can see, The game is actually quite smooth. There's almost no slowdown at all. It's fairly smooth. It is a great time. Some smooth switching between characters. Not too hard to do an air combo in this local version of the game. Once again, if you're playing online, doing an air combo becomes exceptionally challenging. It's just not a good experience for those of you who are used to playing Marvel vs. Capcom competitively, or that want to play and do air combos. Oh, got a bit of a beating there. Now this is probably one of my favorite games, most favorite games of all time. It's exceptionally well balanced. It's just a wonderful fighter. They do a tremendous job of basically simulating the exact arcade experience. The assist buttons, everything. It just feels exceptionally smooth. The graphics are wonderful as well. It feels better than the Dreamcast version. I didn't think I would say that about any of the other versions that I had ever played, but it actually feels the closest to an arcade accurate version that I've ever seen. So I'm just going to pause this here. So the way to do that is you press the live button, asks if you want to leave, and I'm going to say yes. Put that volume back down. The next game I'll quickly walk over is Marvel vs. Capcom. Now, having played this game in the arcade quite a bit too, I didn't realize how good of a fighter it was. It's actually a better fighting game, in my opinion, technically speaking, than Marvel vs. Capcom 2. I feel like there's a lot of reliance on assists in Marvel vs. Capcom 2, which you don't necessarily have here, and that's quite nice. So I'm going to go to Danger Room 1. There's only 2 halls. Let's see how many people are playing this game. And there's only 2 people playing, so there's a level 1 player waiting for someone to challenge them, and a level 21 player with an apocalypse icon, and I know they're probably going to crush it. This is one of the games where my win score is actually a little bit higher than my lose score. I'm 7-6, but I'm going to quickly show you the 1-player experience here. The online experience isn't necessarily the best. I'm not a huge fan of it. It's just a little bit too laggy, but I'll go through the 1-player experience here. This game, instead of like Marvel vs. Capcom 2, which is a 3v3 tag game, this is a 2v2 tag game. So this was, a great addition to the library of the versus games. I think they did a tremendous job. The character selection is incredibly small, and that's one thing that I'll very quickly call out. But the gameplay is actually quite fun. So the character selection, as you can see, there's only about 15 characters here. So not a huge selection. I'm going to go with Spider-Man, Venom, 2 of my most favorite characters from the Marvel universe. I like Psylocke, so I'm going to press some extra special keys to get Psylocke in. I'm going to go with manual mode. Easy mode is great if in case you're playing with someone that hasn't played this game before. It allows them to actually do super moves by pressing 2 buttons, I believe, and you can do just special moves by pressing 1 button. So they've done a pretty good job with that, making it easily accessible. I'll put the volume back up. So as you can see, this game is actually quite smooth. I've just never been really good at doing air combos in this game, so you probably won't see too many of those out of me. But they have done an exceptionally good job with this game as well. It feels a little bit better on this cab. I know Marvel vs. Capcom 2 is the flagship game for this cab, but whenever I've got friends over, whenever I'm playing with family, this is really the go-to game that we go to. One of my favorite things about this game is you can merge people, and you can bring in 2 characters at once and just do multiple combos. So I got Maximum Spider to finish off here. I think that looks really cool. I'm going to go back to the main menu, bring that volume down, and let's just go to the next game, Marvel Superheroes vs. Street Fighter. Now this is a game that I think is a little bit of a black sheep in the Versus series. It hasn't received the most favorable reviews. I'm not sure why. It plays fairly decent. I think this was kind of I think it was a black sheep, personally speaking, because I liked the game before this, X-Men vs. Street Fighter, and Marvel vs. Capcom better than this one. That being said, it's still a fairly good game. I'm going to quickly load it up. I'll show you the online lobby for this one as well, and mind you, it's a Monday evening. That being said, I've tried this on Sunday evening, Saturday evening, and it's not really much better from a lobby standpoint, so I've only ever played this game once online. There's literally nobody playing this game right now, and there's only 2 servers, so that's a little bit surprising and also a little bit disappointing that no one else is playing this game out of all the people that have purchased this system. It doesn't really make any sense, and it's kind of a bit of a disappointing experience, especially if you're buying it for the online features. Yeah, even in Danger Room 2, there's no one else there, so I'm just going to very quickly go back. Let's start this up as a local game. Put the volume up for you guys again. I'm keeping it at 1, otherwise it'll really drown out my voice, although some of you might like that. So a little bit more of a character selection. There's 17 characters in this game. They've added an extra 2. There used to be a character in Japan. I think his name was Nori. That would be here, but it's not in this version. This is the North American version. I'm going to go Zangief, and I'm going to go Dhalsim. Kind of a strange combination, but it's typically my combination in this game. I think this game also allows the easy mode. I've never tried easy mode in Marvel vs. Street Fighter. I think it's the same. 2 for super, 1 for special. So it should be beginner friendly. Once again, this game is quite smooth. They've done a wonderful job of replicating the arcade experience. This is probably the one game that I'm really bad at on this cab, one versus game. It is quite nice though. I said I was bad and I'm ending up doing pretty decent. I guess I might have the settings set to fairly easy. It is a tag game, so you get a lot of that experience in this game as well. It's really interactive, quite fun. Make a red throwing me around. I have heard that if you mash the buttons when you're doing the super move, it actually does a little bit more damage. I think it might be like 1 or 2 pixels worth more damage, but when it comes to gaming, every pixel, every 1 extra hit point of damage makes a difference, and it could end up winning you the game. As you can see, this is quite a nice game. They've done a really good job of simulating this one as well. The first 3 games feel really similar, and the 4th one will as well. You'll see that in just a second. I'm going to go back to the main menu. I'm going to turn down that volume, and let's hit up X-Men vs. Street Fighter. This is, I'm going to say, maybe my second most favorite game on this cab. They've done a really good job with this one. It feels great. I didn't realize that this game would age so gracefully. I'll show you the online menu once again. They've only got 2 danger rooms, Danger Room 1 and 2. Yeah, nobody's playing, so really disappointing. I've obviously done very bad at this game. 1 win, 12 losses. That being said, I was playing against one really, really skilled player, and I beat them once, and I lost 12 times. It wasn't against 13 different people. That's not an excuse, but it is a really fun game. I found that the lag didn't really affect this game all that much. It didn't affect sort of the playability of it like it did for Marvel vs. Capcom 2 for me. I'll check Danger Room 2. I think it's going to be the same experience. There's not really going to be anyone here. Yeah, no one online. So very disappointing that there's no one actually playing these games online. If you're buying it for the online experience, you're not really going to have a good one. Let me put that volume back up. I think the volume is up. There you go. So decent selection here, 16 characters, 8 versus 8. They've got an extra secret character if you just go up. It's Akuma here. I'm going to pick 2 of my favorite characters. I think Cyclops is awesome, and I'm a big fan of Charlie as well. Normal, turbo. They don't have an easy mode in this game, I believe. I'm just going to play on normal speed setting. This game's a little bit more challenging, though. I find that this game typically pushes me a little bit harder than some of the other games do. I think there's a tag function. No, there's no tag function to bring in the partner for an assist, but you can actually just tag your partner in if you need to. So as you can see, this game is actually quite nice as well. They've done a tremendous job of simulating the arcade experience. It feels really smooth. It feels really good. Once again, the online experience that I had with this game was actually quite excellent. It didn't make me feel like I was. It didn't make me feel like I was missing anything from the genuine arcade experience. And this is one of the games that I would say, even if you're playing single player, the computer is just challenging enough, even on the easy setting, that you really actually have a great time playing against the computer. Bring Cyclops back in, and one of my favorite supers of all time. Let's see if it hits. Nope. Strategic blocking. Kind of a bit of a cheesy win, but a very good game nonetheless. Press start. You still get the arcade experience of being able to beat up on your opponent after you beat them. Let's exit that game. Gonna put the volume back down. Next up is Marvel Superheroes. I think this is the game that that really was a lot of fun. I know X-Men Children of the Atom, I think that was the first game that introduced the super jump, but Marvel Superheroes does a really good job as well. As you can see, there's a lot of people with wins and losses on that leaderboard, but I don't know where they are. I've just never seen them online. So I'm gonna go to the online experience, Danger Room 1. There's nobody there, so that's a little bit disappointing. I'm not seeing anyone there. I'm going to go to Danger Room 2. And once again, I don't think anyone is there. So there's no one here. I've never been able to find anyone online for this game. I don't know if it's a matter of the fact that I haven't, like I'm playing as a guest character. I don't think that makes a difference. I think even guest characters show up here on the leaderboard. So it is fairly disappointing that I'm not seeing anyone online. If I'm doing something wrong, please do let me know in the comments, team. I don't know what's going on. So I'll play Marvel Superheroes super quickly as well. This game loads up super quick. It is quite a fun one. Not too many characters, only 10 characters. I think there might be a hidden character in this game. I don't quite recall. Let's play Captain America. Mr. Rogers. Let's go auto guard on screen now. Let's just go normal. I think it's really cool how the characters kind of break through the little the icons, and you can start your fight. This game is definitely a lot more challenging than the other versus games. You're only reliant on your one character, so if you're not quite good with that character, you're going to definitely struggle. So he's used his time stone. So if you're a big fan of Infinity Wars from the Marvel series, you have the different stones. I forgot how to use them. I think it's like this. Let's try that. Nope. I'm clearly doing this wrong. Yeah, I have no idea how to use my stones. I haven't really played this game a lot, as you can tell. That being said, I'm still fairly decent at it. Yeah, mainly because all of these games are just kind of reskins of the exact same game. You can feel that, you feel like this game's a little bit more rough though when you're playing. It's not as smooth. I don't think the air combos are as refined either, but I think they've still done a very good job with this game. It's still fun for those who have the arcade nostalgia memories of this game. Now, how on earth do you do the stone? Ah, there you go. I think it's 3 buttons or 2 buttons and then backwards fireball. I think he is almost dead, and then I can finally turn this off. This game's a little bit painful for me. I'm just not a huge fan of it, so yeah. That's done. I'm going to leave that game now. What do we have left? Children of the Atom, Mutant Apocalypse, War of the Gems. Okay, Children of the Atom. I think this was the first game, once again, that introduced the super jump. I'm just going to show you the online lobbies right now. It is Monday at, I think it's 11 p.m. But let's just take a quick look. I would imagine that a gamer is a gamer. They're still going to be playing regardless of the time of the day. Nobody in Danger Room 1. And I'm going to bet you nobody in Danger Room 2 either. Yeah, pretty disappointing. I've never seen anyone online for this, and I've had this cab for I'm gonna go ahead and say maybe 10 months now. I got the cab on release day, and I just haven't ever really seen many people playing this. This is really surprising that the Utility Man has played more than 1,000 matches. Kudos to them. Where are you, Utility Man? I've just never seen you online, or anyone else on this list for that matter. That being said, let's get this game going. This one is, just your classic Street Fighter style game, very rudimentary in terms of controls. You can actually feel the age of this game as you're playing it. I do remember having this for the PlayStation 1 back in, I think it was 1998. I bought this game. It was pretty decent. Let's go manual mode. The thing that's interesting about this game is you feel the damage a lot more. Even the smallest hit ends up resulting in like a lot of damage, as you can see. I've hit her twice and I'm already about, I'm more than 50% of the way through her life bar and just having hit her a few times. It feels smooth, but the matches are just way too fast in this. yeah, it's a decent fighter. If you've got a ton of nostalgia for it, then I think you'll enjoy the game. If you're playing it for the first time and you've never played it before, there's many better options on this console. You've got super moves in this game. I think it's the first game, Marvel game at least, that introduced super moves, or it might even just be the first Marvel game, fighting game altogether. They did a pretty decent job. It's not incredible. I'm sure many of you will probably flame me for that, saying that I'm just not a good player. And that's absolutely true. I'm not claiming to be a good player, but it's just not a very fun game in my opinion. That's it. I'm very happy to be turning this one off. We have Mutant Apocalypse. This game doesn't have online multiplayer. It's just a single player game. It's an adventure game. I think they included it just because it's a Marvel game. I can respect that. I think that's actually really awesome to include games as opposed to just excluding them. So it increases the library of the console or the library of the cab. That being said, this is not a game that I really enjoyed. I think I played this on the SNES if I'm not mistaken, but it's just not a good arcade feel. It doesn't feel good as an arcade game. So as you can see, there's a password option here, mission training. So I'm going to go into mission mode very quickly. Sound is excellent. Feels like a pretty well-rounded game. They've done a great job of kind of translating the game to an arcade feel. It just doesn't feel like it belongs in an arcade cab. That being said, if you're looking for just a game to kind of veg out with and not necessarily have to invest a lot of time in playing and a lot of mental capacity in fighting people, then this is probably a good option if you're just looking for a quick beat 'em up. It's a little bit simple. I'm not even sure how to do special moves here. I think there's the ability to do special moves. Yeah, jump is responsive. Buttons are pretty responsive. From what I recall on the SNES, I think they've done a very good job of porting it to an Arcade1Up machine. So quite impressed with that. I'm just clearly not very good at this game. Is there even a way to reach that? Maybe a different character? So I think you can climb the walls. That's a very cool feature here. So I think they've designed this game quite well. It is quite fun. But it's just not my first choice when I'm playing this cab. It is one of those games that I only really bring out when I'm showing someone how to, or when I'm showing someone the cab. As you can see, I'm clearly struggling with this. I'm just going to turn this off before I embarrass myself any further. I think the last game we have here is Marvel Superheroes, War of the Gems. As you can see, nothing to see here above, little quote of Wolverine. I think that's pretty cool. War of the Gems, once again, it also doesn't have online play. So I'll quickly load this one up as well. This is the last game that's on the cab. Once again, I feel like the quality of the games actually goes down as you're going through the library on the cab. It's still nice though. It's still a really nice library. It's probably the best library in any single cab I've seen from Arcade1Up. So I would recommend. Capcom always does a tremendous job with their games. A little bit slower to load, not too bad. And I think this has more of the Avengers type characters, I believe. It's just taking way too long to load up. Or maybe I just keep pressing no. Let's do Boston Aquarium. I can't tell what it's selecting. Yes, okay, great. What am I doing? Oh, there you go. You gotta press start. Let's go with Hulk. Look how dapper he looks. I guess you can carry over gems from previous missions or rounds, but let's try it out. Surprisingly, I don't think it looks as good as Mutant Apocalypse. Characters are definitely bigger. It feels a little bit more like a console game. Like it doesn't feel as good. Let's see what the combat is like. It's taking way too long to get into any sort of combat. That's a little bit boring. Maybe we can fight some people here in the elevator. That's typical. Oh, no. So I'm already a minute into the game. I haven't even seen anyone yet. No one to fight, and I'm already underwater. Yeah, this game is honestly not fun at all for me. I'm sure there's people with a ton of nostalgia for this game. It's just not something that I'm enjoying. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and turn that off. That was kind of brutal. You know, last couple of things that I'll just very quickly conclude with, you know, a lot of these games have game settings, so you can actually go into the game settings. You can turn on the bass boost. Maybe that's also why I think the system's a little bit loud. You can change the difficulty, damage level, timer speed, game speed. You can make it a little bit faster. And then finally, a really cool option is you can turn scan lines on and off. Depending on if you have them on or off, the game looks slightly different. I haven't really experimented with this feature too much. I'm going to put it on a game that's a little bit more easier to follow. I'm going to go ahead with Street Fighter. We can look at the scan lines together, see how it looks. So let's turn the scan lines on. Let's save and exit. Let me just make sure that that option is set. It is set. Perfect. So let's try this game and see what it looks like with the scan lines. I think it's supposed to make it look a little bit more arcade accurate, but we'll find out together. I think I see it already. It looks like there's a little bit more pixelation. Yeah, I can see the scan lines. Yeah. I don't know if you can notice it, but there's horizontal, very, very thin horizontal lines across the screen. I guess it's trying to simulate maybe that CRT feel. That being said, it doesn't look as good to me. It also looks a little bit more dull. It doesn't look as vibrant or as bright. It has no impact to the gameplay experience outside of just the visual enjoyment. It's not necessarily there. So I know when I was first buying an Arcade1Up, I think that was a feature that a lot of people were saying, oh, it's incredible, the scanline function. For me, it's not incredible. It doesn't really add value to my gaming experience. If I can get a more crisp gaming experience, I will definitely prefer that over the scanline version. That being said, I mean, if you're nostalgic, let me know in the comments below if this is a feature that you actually enjoy and that you swear by and you have to play with the scan lines on. For me, that's definitely not the case. I do want to leave. I think the last thing I'll just very quickly round it up with is overall, I'm really happy with this cab. I think for the games that I do play, and there's only really about 4 of them that I'm playing a lot, it's only the versus games. And every now and then I play Marvel Superheroes. I've really enjoyed it. I think it's incredible to play single player. If you're going for the online experience, I don't think they're there yet. I know a lot of people online will say that it's an incredible online experience, or some people will say that it's definitely not there yet. I'm not sponsored or supported by Arcade1Up in any way. And if I was, I probably would have many, many better things to say about it. I think the cab is incredible. I think it's a good use of money if you're looking for something for your basement arcade. If you're looking for an online experience, this really isn't it yet. I'm hoping it gets better. I'm hoping that the number of players online increases. That being said, if you have any tips or comments on how I can get more online experience or how I can get a better online experience, please do let me know. Cab is beautiful. Cab is wonderful. They've got a headphone jack to plug into in case you do want to play in a more quiet environment and not have everyone else around you hear the games that you're playing. I think they've done a wonderful job with the controls. The last piece that I will quickly mention about the controls is this little nub. It comes off quite easily, and I've actually had to use some plumber's tape to keep it on, but after maybe 5 or 6 intense rounds where you're playing against someone else, this nub will actually quite literally unscrew itself. It'll come off. It's pretty annoying. I was hoping that they would have come up with a better solution for this so I wouldn't have to keep screwing it back in or adding plumber's tape to a system or to a cab that I spent many $100s on. That being said, it's not the end of the world. It's still a good enough of experience that I can forgive it. I would definitely recommend this as a cab. If somebody had to buy one cab out of all the 1-ups that I've seen, I think this really is the best one if you're into fighting games. If you're a Marvel fan or a Street Fighter fan, I think they've done a great job. In my next video, I'll actually review the Yoga Flame edition, which is Street Fighter 2. But for now, I hope you've had a good time watching this video. I know it's gotten fairly long, but I really wanted to give a comprehensive overview beginning to end of the cab, as well as all the different games, as opposed to just very quickly glossing over them. Once again, please leave a comment below if you have anything to say. Give us the thumbs up, subscribe. I'd love to publish more content. I just do this as a passion. It's something that I'm really interested in, and I'd love to publish more videos. So once again, if you haven't had a chance to see my basement arcade tour, please check out that video as well. And then more videos to come. Have a good one, everyone. Cheers.